Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I'm special guest, front engine tractor driver, Eugene Sharron. How are you doing, Gene?
I'm doing good, but I'm the mechanic on the car. Errol's the driver.
Oh, yeah. They told me you were a driver.
I drove years ago.
Now, how long has this tractor been in existence?
He bought it back in 2011, and it was a basket case, and we put it together and started having fun with it.
So now, how's she been running? Last season, how'd you guys do?
Well, last season we sort of had to step back. My mom passed away, so we did very little racing. Had a lot of family deal going on, but motor's running real good. We put a cast iron Chevy in, slowing it down for the 7.0 Pro class. And basically it's all Chevrolet, and it was running about 680. Still a little fast for the 7.0 class, but having a blast with it, that's for sure.
Now you're running on blown alcohol?
Yeah, when we run the Nostalgia, we put the little 871 on it. And when we run Top Dragster with it, we put the 14 on it.
Nah.
And it's blown alcohol. And both motors are 478 cubic inches.
Now, did you guys run a March meet this year?
No, there was no March meet for us this year. We were going to go, and then I ended up having to move out of town for a job, so sort of put a stop on it.
Yeah. And now we got to stop on drag racing with what the pandemic going on. How you doing? You staying safe in all this?
Oh, yeah. I think that it's a little overrated, but, I mean, it's a dangerous thing, but that's a question there.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it'll all pass soon so you guys can start racing again.
Yeah, Errol ran a couple races down there in Vegas after the March meet. They had a couple $2,000 winner take all races right at Vegas. I think he went 3 rounds the first race, and I think he lost the first race, red lighted in the second race.
So now, Gene, what is your history in drag racing? How did you get into drag racing?
Well, my dad, he's always been racing. We started out in motocross. Then we went into Rowdy Round. My dad was a micro midget racer. And then we went into full big cars. We did that for probably from the 78 to about 82 when we bought my first front engine dragster. And I was 16 and the number 2 qualifier at Salt Lake City in 1982. And my brother was number 16 with a front engine altered.
Wow. So your first drag race car was a front engine dragster.
Yep. There was a 69 California chassis car. Had a Tom Hanna full body on it.
How many years did you run that dragster for?
I had it for probably 14 years.
Wow. So
and
did you have a lot of success with that dragster?
Yeah, me and my brother shared it a few times, and then he got a rear engine car. We shared it, and I ended up getting a divorce from the first wife, and the car had to go. And then Errol, he was the youngest of 8 of us. He's 10 years younger than I am. And he bought that front engine car in 2011, asked me if I wanted to go drag racing. I said, nah, I think I'm done with that. And I went over to his house, and I said, well, I guess we're back to drag racing.
So you drove for 14 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was from 16 to almost 32.
So do you ever miss being behind the wheel?
Oh, sure. But I do enjoy just wrenching on them sometimes.
Now,
Every once in a while I think about doing it again.
Now, besides you as the crew chief, who else is on the crew for the dragster?
Sam Stoltz, he helps us out quite a bit. Errol's oldest, or only son, little Errol, he's real good at us. My brother Eddie, once in a great while, because he's got a drag bike, turbocharged Kawasaki. And if he's not running the bike, he comes out and helps with the car. And if he's running the bike, I help him with the bike and the car. But pretty much we keep it small. We got Chris, can't think of his last name right now. He comes out of Sacramento area. He comes down and helps us at almost all the races. So he's all volunteer, real good guy.
Now, when the drag racing does resume this year, do you guys have any events already scheduled?
We don't even know of any events scheduled yet. But we'll definitely make it to them. Just don't know which, where, and when. I think everybody's just dying to get out there. No pun intended.
Yeah. So what? Back when you first got into drag racing with the family, besides your dad, did you have any other inspirational drag racers out there?
Oh, inspirational? Yeah, there was a fistful. When I was younger, it was always Don Perdome and Don Garlitz and Shirley, and back in the 80s when I was the number 2 qualifier in Salt Lake City, I was actually pitted right next to Don Garlitz. He didn't go pit in the pro pit. He came over. He still had his old Dodge and the old trailer, and he was right next to me. His generator dropped dead that race, and he borrowed my generator. We shared it for the whole race.
Well, that's pretty neat.
Don is really down to earth, super nice guy.
Now, did you ever meet McEwen?
No, I was in the same area, but I never met him, personally met him, no. The mongoose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like 4 or 5 years old. My dad started dragging me to go watch drag racing, so yeah, I used to see the mongoose and snake all the time.
Yeah. That's your idols as you grew up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used to have a drag strip in Indiana over here called US 30 Drag Strip. That's where I saw most of the events, and then Great Lakes Dragway in Wisconsin. They used to have all the big field of funny cars with all of them guys.
Yeah, right now I'm in Covington, Kentucky. I do work on big industrial laundry equipment, and basically the only job I could get with this COVID, I had to come out here to a hospital laundry plant. And somehow or another, we still have to pay our bills.
Yeah. The bills never stop coming.
No. At least I haven't figured out how to make them stop yet.
Yeah, right. So when you started driving a dragster back then, how was the experience like for the first time getting behind the wheel of a front engine dragster for you?
The first night I took it out to the Las Vegas Speedway. That was the old drag strip there. Of course, getting my license, back in 1981, the fast cars were only turning in the high sevens then. And I was new to it. The very first pass, I did like a 6-foot wheel stand, so I got broke in real quick. And by the time I got my license, I had the fastest car in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And that was 6 passes later. And then since then, my dad taught me a lot on, really, he started out with motorcycle engines, 2-strokes. And then 4-strokes. My dad was really, really good. He was just a brilliant man when it came to making engines run. And I started experimenting with him. We started right out with a big block Chevrolet. And if someone said I couldn't do it, I'd try it. Basically, that's how I got my rod combinations, lengths, and strokes. And I've always liked to have a big bore with a short stroke. They seem to work best for me because I spin them up pretty high. We're running anywhere from a 850 to a 910 camshaft, depending on what motor I got together for it. And we spin them up pretty high. Some of the motors go to 10.7, most of them go 10.2.
So what's the fastest you got Earl's dragster to go?
To date with aero in it was a 628 219, and we had the Alan Johnson Oldsmobile motor in it, and it kept taking the head gaskets out. So about 1,000 foot, it took the head gasket out of it, and that was a 628 to 219 pass. And then we finally figured out what was going on with the head gaskets, and in Vegas, he clicked it off at 800 feet and went 640 at 217. And basically running 7.0s, that motor's just too much for it. So we pulled it out, and that's why I went back to the cast iron motor. And when we get back in the top dragster, we'll put that Oldsmobile back in it and see if we can't bust into the 5s once we get in trouble.
Now, how many events does on a regular basis when there's no deaths in the family or anything? How many events does Earl usually run?
We would run 4 of the nostalgia races, and usually 4 to 6 of the top dragster. So basically about 10 a year, unless there was some kind of a special race, big money, that we'd go try to shoot out on it.
Right.
But we run no computer at all, so everything's done by hand and feel.
Yeah, just like the old days.
Yep. That's what makes it fun when they come over and say, "What am I doing?" Yeah. Tune it by the rod cap and the spark plug. That's what we do.
Now, do you guys run at the Hot Rod Reunion?
Yes. Yes, that's a great event. That's a fun event to go to.
Yeah, hopefully they have it this year.
Yeah, it'll be really nice. I think the last time we went out, I had that cast iron motor in it. In the first pass, we went a 664, and I slowed it down, and I ended up going a 790. So I split the difference because they only gave us 2 passes. In our first round of eliminations, he blew the tires off it twice on a start line. He's actually got a video of it. It blew the tires, smoked the tires, looked like he was doing a burnout, and he went a 7 flat with a 2 at 214 miles an hour in a 7.0 class, and he lost by 1,000th of a second.
Wow.
That just shows you how that's a tough field to be in. They have no electronics allowed in that class at all. You go to that nostalgia meets or any of those, like the reunion or the March meet, better have your big game on.
Yeah. Yeah, all the Nitro funny car drivers I've interviewed before, they all tell me, you want to see Nitro, you need to come out to the March meet sometime or Hot Rod Union, see some Nitro.
If they're right, they put on. I think they had like 34 cars at the reunion this year or last year. There was a lot of them.
Yep.
And they have such a good time too. Everybody's pretty much, not a wild party in their pits, but they're having a very good time, relaxed and enjoying themselves, and that's a really good event to go to.
Well, drag racing, it's all just one big family, so everyone's just, pits are one big family party.
Yeah, and it really shows it when you go to those nostalgia races.
Then you get the, bands playing after the event's over, like Joe Walla's band.
Yeah. Yep, he's there a lot.
Yeah. So now, let's see, where am I at now? Does the dragster have any sponsorship?
We did have, but with the coronavirus, of course, we didn't get nothing this year. We had Buck's Tavern and a place I used to work for, Apex Linen. And basically, Apex is a big industrial plant that does all the hotel laundry. We do like 240,000 pounds a day there of laundry.
Wow.
But they got caught up in it, so they're closed their doors for right now. So hopefully, if we come back out of this stuff, it's going to take a few months before people are back on their feet.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. So now, when you guys take the dragster out, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on besides Famoso?
Well, we've run Famoso, Sacramento. Don't really like the shutdown, but oh man, I'm going mind dead here. Track down in California got a real short shutdown. We went there twice now, but the track is really tight. Damn, I can't think of the name of the track. That's funny. We don't run Vegas very much. They're, for whatever reason, they just don't treat the drag racers very good at their local events. Sorry to say that, but that's how they are. The people that work the track are good, but the track owners, they don't have any advertisement at all for them. You get no spectators. They think we're a waste of time, basically. And it's a shame, because it's a nice track.
Yeah, you're gonna run your track like that, you ain't gonna be open that much longer.
Well, they get enough money when they do their nationals and the NASCAR and Indy that they don't need any of the people that make the thing go, because it's a low budget racers that make all these tracks work.
Yeah, it's a shame. Because there's a lot of people that love to watch nostalgia drag racing.
Yeah, but we were going to run Texas this year. Of course, then going to run the Nationals in Texas, but this happened, so not even sure they're going to have a National in Texas. I've seen 2 different new schedules for NHRA, and we don't even know if they're going to be, lifting this band up in April or not. Now it's May, so. But you got to keep people safe. I understand that 100%.
Yep. So now, go ahead.
I got a bad feeling that they're going to do what they're doing with this thing, and then when they lift the ban, it's going to start it all over again because it's not going to be gone yet.
So now, if you ever go back to driving, you would drive a front engine dragster again?
Oh yeah, we've got we got two rear engine dragsters, and they just sit on the shelf because they're, basically today, especially because you got all the computers that run it, you're just basically a passenger with a steering wheel in front of you. The nostalgia without having any of the computers, it's so much more fun to drive. It's a driver's game again. It's not you're not relying on a shifter and delay boxes and all that good stuff. So don't be doing no drinking the night before. It's after the race.
Yeah. Now, have you ever thought about driving a funny car?
Yeah, I drove a C Connell Altered, which was a mid-engine Vega. I did that for almost a year and a half, and pretty damn close to a funny car. You sit in the center steer, and I sat basically above the rear end, and the motor was sitting in the windshield, so it was basically a funny car, but it was called a C Connell Altered, and it had actually working doors. Yeah, I'd drive a funny car. I wouldn't have any problem with it at all. Now, working on it is a different story. I got a sort of a bad back. I got a couple ruptured discs in my back, so I got to be real easy on. So the body being lifted up, I'd have to have a good crew to help me out if we went funny car. Me and Earl actually talked about that once. But the dragster's so real easy to work on. I mean, I pretty much hog the motor. I don't like other people touching my motor, so but I can tear it down and put it back together in about 45 minutes by myself. So if anything goes wrong, then I only got myself to blame.
Yeah.
We've been real lucky from 2011 till today. We've only lost 2 rods off a crank in all the racing we did. And the second one was actually the crank bent right on journal number 4, and I didn't catch it. And I put a brand new set of rods in it and took it 3 passes, and it spun a bearing. So I put a new rod on it, and a half pass later, the rod came off the crank. And left that motor apart until I found out what happened. I finally found out the crank bent right on the journal, which was really weird. But low-budget racers, we had about 250 passes on that crankshaft, so I really couldn't complain.
Yeah, that's a lot of passes. Now, when you used to drag race for the 14 years, when you were out on the starting line for a race, did you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you were out there?
I still have the same superstition. If I'm building a motor for it or redoing, freshening it up, when I cut myself and I bleed, the motor always seems to run about 3 or 4 hundredths faster. And right back when my dad was still alive, he told me, you better slit your wrist on this one. But other than that, no, nothing bothers me as far as any kind of bad luck stuff. I don't have any kind of superstition there.
So now, what kind of preparation goes into getting that dragster ready for a weekend?
I tear first of all, I do a leak down. If the leak down's fine, I don't pull the heads. But if I always drop the pan, check all the bearings. That's about every 3 passes I do that. Always running the valves, and they stay pretty damn close with our Jessel drive we got on it. And the fact that cast iron motor, believe it or not, the motor's from 1981. It's got a great bottom end. It's got a Crowder crank. It's got the GRP rods, Venolia pistons. I run a lot higher compression than a lot of people. I'm running about anywhere from 15 to 17 to 1 static compression in my motors. and almost everybody else runs 12, 12 and a half. But I also spin the motor up high, and I run a lot of fuel through it. And timing, I can run up all the way to 30 degrees. If I want to really push it, I'll go to 36. But when I go to 36 degrees of timing, it'll knock the bearings in it. And here lately, I've brought the timing all the way down to 18 degrees, trying to slow the motor down for the 7.0, and it was actually starting to go faster. So I'm starting to change my tune-up on it a little bit. But I got a 7.0 on Nostalgia, and I have to, now it's 610 in Pop Dragster, so. But we've been trying real good to keep it together without hurting anything. And like I said, knock on wood, I've only lost 2 rods in 9 years of racing.
All right. Has the dragster ever been in any accidents yet?
Only being towed.
Really?
When we won the March meet in 2016, my brother Eddie was in the dragster, and we're towing it back from getting the trophy and all the pictures. And it was dark, of course, Bakersfield, and he was following us in our little cart, and I don't know, he looked off to the side, and there was the trash cans, the 55-gallon barrel trash cans.
Right.
And he picked it up with a canard.
Oh.
So that's really the only accident we've ever been in.
Well, knock on wood, Earl never get any accidents with the dragster.
Yeah, he's been loose a couple times. He's blown a blower off up in Bakersfield. We had a friend of ours come in and help us the one time, and this is why it's hard to get good crew that you can count on. And anyhow, he on the starting line, I always turn the bottle on and make sure the pin's out on the parachute, and of course I fire the car and all that. And he thought the bottle was off, and he turned the bottle off on me after I turned it on. So Errol made a pass in first gear only, because we run a 2-speed Lenco drive, air shifted. And he was about 800 feet when he couldn't shift it, and when he backed off the throttle, the pressure popped the blower right off the car. And it was an actual really neat piece of film to watch, too. You actually see the blower lift and fall down in front. So the back of the blower was hanging up, and the nose was going down into the body panel.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
And Errol said, he saw it. Yeah. So that's about the most fun you really want to have at 800 feet.
Yeah. So have you guys ever thought about running a nitro car?
Yes, we are. Actually, we were almost ready to do it, and then, like I said, all this stuff happened. We were going to buy a car at the beginning of this year, and we had to put it off on hold as well. So, but yeah, we really want to go nitro right now, because we stopped. We also talked about go ahead and run the A fuel with the Oldsmobile motor, because the car is actually legal to go A fuel. We're going to have a problem because we're running the blower alcohol, but they call it A-gas, I guess is what they're calling the alcohol class for Nostalgia. And I know I can make the motor run a 595, 610 right in that area. Yeah, but we got to, count on Drew Austin and Ken. It's going to be a little bit tough because those guys can run consistent 580s, running injected nitro. I'm sure that Drew could probably bust into the 570s if he wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, the Austins are a really good clan right there. Real good.
So now, Go go ahead.
I said, and Kim Davenport ain't bad either, but I think Drew's got a little bit of an edge on him.
Now, for you yourself, do you still have a bucket list of as far as drag racing goes, the stuff you would still like to do?
Well, I've always got a bucket list. I want to run a top fuel bike. I definitely want to get on one. That is definitely the top of my bucket list. With my front engine car, I used to go about 100 feet with the front end 4 feet in the air, and I've always wanted to do the quarter mile with that front tire hanging off the ground. If I could figure out how to do it on a dragster, I would, but I don't think I can ever make the whole quarter mile, but that top fuel bike sure will.
Now, when you drove the dragster, did you reach any milestones?
Back in the 80s, I pretty much picked up a milestone on every race because I kept getting faster every time. And I ran an injected power injector 3-inch butterflies, actually 2.990, and on alcohol. And I got that car all the way down to 740s in the 82. And we did the Super Eliminator back in those days, which was they started out with a 790 class. And we ran it for a couple years, and then finally we went to what they called Top Dragster. And we ran that, and we got all the way down to the 740 zone. And that's about the time that divorce came with the first wife.
Is anyone still driving that dragster?
Yeah, it's in Michigan right now. It was the 132nd car that California Tim Tuttle Sr. built. The original name on the car was Al Reed Speed Graphics Special. And he ran a Donovan in it, a 417 Donovan in it. And my dad bought the car in 78 from him. And we put a big block Chevy in it. And the fastest that car went was a 640 at 232 when it had a Donovan in it. But it was blown. I never put a blower on that car until the very end of me having it. I put a 871 on it, and it had a one-leg rear end in it. It didn't have a locker. And if I tried putting a locker in it, you couldn't drive the car. It would go right or left. So I ended up putting the not limited slip, one leg. And that car went straight as an arrow and did 6-foot wheel stands for 80 feet and never got out of shape. That was the funnest car I ever had. I should have never sold it, but the divorce had to.
Yeah.
And it was 204 inches long and 206 on the left, 204 on the right. It had a 50-pound weight bar on the right side to keep the wheels square when it came up in the wheel stand. All I had was a cast iron Chevrolet in that thing, but I'll tell you what, that was a fun car. Errol, that was the first car Errol drove. He was 14 years old, and I put him down in the seat of that car. We actually put a phone book under his ass. Strapped him in so he could see over the cow.
So what year did Errol get his dragster license? He
was 14 the first time he drove my car. He was 16 the first time he won an event. He actually ran back-to-back events. They had a big Gambler Nationals. And he was running a friend of ours, John Frank's rear engine car. And he won back-to-back nights at the age of 16. And that put the fever into him, and he's never stopped since.
Yeah. Runs in the family for you guys.
Yeah. Well, he just got his just before the beginning of this year. He got the bike on Eddie license on Eddie's bike, so he can run pro stock bike or pro mod bike. I can't remember what it's called. It's not pro stock, but whatever class they're running. He can run all the way to 7 flat on the bike. So now he's got his crossover license for motorcycle and his dragster.
Yep, you guys got that Need for Speed bug.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of fun. It's the only way to go, too.
I'm sure you'll be driving something again one of these days.
Oh, yeah. I own a 37 Pro Mod. It's sitting in Errol's driveway right now. 37 Chevy Pro Mod.
Blower?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, everything's on hold. There ain't nothing to do right now. I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And my son, he's just now turned 21, and he's shown an interest in running. So we'll have another one going. And my his son, he's 2 years old, and he is a motorcycle fanatic.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, 2 years old, huh? Wow.
Yep, 2 years old. So, I've taken him out to the drag strip a couple times, and actually worked on the Turner's car from England, the top alcohol funny car. I worked on it for the last 3 years at the Nationals for him. And I took my grandson out. He was a year and a half old, and he's crawling all over me while I'm doing the bottom end, and he sees me wipe the oil off the rails before I put the pan on, so he grabs a rag and starts cleaning the car. He's a year and a half old.
Wow.
But we go over to the pro stock bike area, and that's his thing, man. He loves motorcycles.
So now, besides being a crew chief for a dragster, what other hobbies do you have, Gene?
Well, I love to fish. I don't hunt. I'm sort of an animal lover, so I don't do no hunting. I love birds to death. I'm a bird watcher. Fishing, bird watching, hiking. Love the outdoors. Love the forest. When I was younger, I used to cliff climb and cliff high dive. I don't do that anymore.
No.
It takes too long to get to the top of the cliff to jump off.
Now for fishing, you do freshwater fishing or deep sea fishing?
Both. It doesn't matter. Fishing to me, I've done deep sea. Caught my crabs, caught my lobster, caught my octopus, shark, you name it, tuna. Freshwater, if I get bored, I'll either go for striper or the bass, but I actually love to fish for channel cat. So that's my favorite eating food of the fish.
Yeah, channel cats are always fun to catch.
Yeah, you can catch the mud cat, but you got to cook them right to get rid of the taste. But the channel cat, the blue belly cat, those are just really good eating, and I love to catch them babies. We lived in Australia. That's where Errol was born. Lived in Australia for 3.5 years, and we used to fish off the Adelaide River there. And at high tide, it was salt water. You'd catch shark, sawfish, stingray, sometimes a crocodile. And when it was low tide, you would actually catch catfish, bass, stripers, and you'd never have to move where you were sitting. That was some really good fishing down there in Australia.
All right, so let me ask you this: what would you consider to be the fondest memory, of in your drag racing history?
Watching Errol win the March meet. That's the most recent. was actually my 10th anniversary with me and my wife, my second wife. Happened to be that particular day he won the March meet. So it's a hard one to beat right now.
Now, if people want to find out, hopefully there'll be some racing this year. If they want to find out where you're going to be at, what's the best way? The Facebook page?
Yeah, Errol's Facebook page, or Sharron Brother Racing. It's on Facebook. Errol's always on it. And like I said, as soon as they open up and give us some kind of a schedule that we can do something, we'll definitely make it known.
Yeah, I know when I first messaged Facebook, the Sharron Brothers page, Earl gave me your number. I thought that's where he told me you were the driver.
Yeah, he offered me the seat that one time, but Errol's not ready to give up anything just yet. But I'm very happy working with him. So we have a blast when we go out. We have a really good time. We're not, we're very serious about our racing, but we're not out there to, create enemies thinking that, someone's better. We want to be better than they are.
Or maybe he didn't want to do an interview and he dumped it off on you. I don't know.
Yeah, because he doesn't, he can if he wanted to, because Errol's a smart guy, real smart. He's got a photographic memory on top of all things. And I do all the motor work, and he can if he wanted to, but it's just always been me doing it. Literally, he'll sit inside, watch his Jeopardy and his Wheel of Fortune, and I'll redo the motor while he's in there watching it. He'll come out and say, I was going to help you, and I'm already done.
Yeah, you said 45 minutes. All it takes you.
Yep, I pop the heads off, pull all pistons, put them all back in. I'm done in 45 minutes, and that's a Chevy too. It's not a Hemi. Hemis I can actually do faster, but there's only 10 bolts you got to play with. Chevrolet's a little bit more work.
So what kind of advice would you give someone that might want to jump into a front engine dragster?
Nostalgia?
Yeah.
Or they want to run 7.0. If you're going to run 7.0, I would really suggest, if you can afford a Hemi, that'd be a real easy way to go, but you really have to slow it down. But a big block Chevrolet, you can run 7.0 with a very mild motor that you could run for seasons after season. And at very available parts. You get nothing exotic. If you want to run with the big guys, you really have to go with either an Alan Johnson Olds or the Hemi. And basically, a Proline motor is basically an Alan Johnson Olds build, so they do have the capability of running 540s.
Awesome. Well, Gene, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
You're welcome, sir. Anytime.
Any final words or shout-outs you want to do before we close?
I hope all drag racers, and actually all of America, I hope everybody's healthy and get over this virus, and we can all get back to a real good living. And when they get started back in the drag racing, all the families come together, we'll have a good time.
Sounds good. Well, thanks again, Gene, and I hope you have a great night.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.